by VGR previously, but I think that they might stand a little bit better of a chance this time. What did you feel like were their strong suits in the last couple of games that we saw of them?
Um, there wasn't really that much to see, except if you look at the first game, I think that's when IG really shone as a team. And we saw that they were able to really play well on capitalizing on openings. If you give them a head start, they know how to maintain their head start. But they were up against such a strong opponent that was able to make the most of small mistakes, which is where I felt where IG lost it. But they're up against CDEC Youth, which is probably in a similar position to IG as to the reason why they're both down here. And so hopefully IG can catch a break. Maybe they will be able to win a game at least after losing four consecutive games in a row
Yeah.
to VGR. The state of CDEC, they actually have a lot of potential. And I honestly feel like CDEC Youth may have maybe a step above Invictus Gaming, from
I,
what we've seen anyway.
I would kind of agree with you. I will say that I feel like there's been times where Invictus Gaming's drafts have put them at a deficit, and they've been sort of playing from behind the whole time. So if they're able to put together a strong draft, then I think that they're going to be maybe in a position where they can deal with it, but it's a little bit tough, and we haven't seen it come out from them yet. I will start talking about this draft, though. Kind of interesting right off the bat. They choose to ban out the Nature's Prophet and the Bounty Hunter, and then lead off with a Beastmaster pick. This kind of denies the Sven out of the pool a little bit for CDC Youth. It's not great to have to go up against the Beastmaster as a Sven, considering you're always going to want to pick up that BKB and the BKB Piercing Ultimate. But then CDEC Youth go right back at him by taking the Lone Druid and also one of the really good counters to the Lone Druid in that Witch Doctor. So there's CDEC who I think are going to be able to get away with this Lone Druid pick in this draft. And I think that, if you have this hero that's able to get a lot of farm very quickly, it's one of the fastest farming heroes in the game if left alone.
Absolutely. I actually wanted to point out something from Invictus Gaming. They've picked up the Invoker for Ferrari, and I think it's been quite a while since I've actually seen Ferrari on the Invoker. This is one of his best heroes. I don't want to say it is his best, but it is one of his best performing heroes. And now that they've given Ferrari a tempo controlling mid, you can say Lena would have served a similar purpose to the Invoker, but I've seen Ferrari make amazing plays with an Invoker. So maybe this is the sort of break that IG were looking for, to grab a strong hero such as Invoker for Ferrari, because I know the history of IG is that the team is heavily driven by how Ferrari is treated in the lane. If he gets the lane that he wants, he's able to make space for his team. He can make the plays happen because of the extra levels as well as farm. If he goes off to a bad start, there's no one really on IG that's able to put the game onto their back like Ferrari does. Like, no, I kind of feel like XS, he's a great offlaner and all, but I don't think he's in a similar boat to Ferrari in terms of what he can provide to the team. Like, he's given a Beastmaster, and to make a Beastmaster work, you can get solo kills, but half the time you do need support. Whereas for the Invoker, he can grab solo kills if you give him the opportunity to. So this Invoker pick, if I was CDEC Youth, I would actually decide to pressure this Invoker because it can dictate the flow of IG's game, and a Batrider is probably one of the best offlaners to deal with the Invoker. Completely isolate him from his team and blow him up before the team fight even happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also you look at the way that they're trying to start off this draft here for CDC Youth. You've got Juggernaut, who's great at being able to have that untargetability and ability to sustain within a lane. You're going to be able to push really effectively. And we saw in the previous game, VGR, even though they did end up being able to win, they were kind of lacking the Batrider-esque type of hero, being able to pull somebody out and breaking high ground. That's something that a Batrider can't allow you to do. I'm curious right now if that's what part of the reason why CDEC Youth wanted to take this. They've got a nice amount of instant disable, and actually IG are going to go for the Phoenix and Gyrocopter. I feel like it's always so dangerous picking a Gyrocopter into a Juggernaut. This hero just counters it out so effectively if you're not careful with your positioning and making sure there's a couple of other heroes around you to tank that Omni Slash, just because of how quickly you can get bursted down. I'm concerned about this Gyrocopter. He needs to get a lot done in the early game to be able to snowball, I feel like.
It's not that he also needs to get a lot done. He also needs to either stay on the same level in terms of the farm with Jug and Lone Druid, because we've seen in other games in the exact same tournament, teams, they run the Gyrocopter, they get that level 6, they try and go for that really early TP rotation to make to make the most of that level 6 cooldown, which it's great and all, but if the gyrocopter ganks start to backfire, then all of a sudden gyrocopter's going to be behind the opposing team's carries because he didn't dedicate that time to actually farm up his next set of items. Like, this is probably the biggest thing with gyrocopter. If you stop farming with the gyro and your strategy with running this aggressive gyro starts to backfire, it's very difficult for Gyro to come back in terms of gold. Just because like he can't farm as quickly as a Juggernaut and a Lone Druid can. Like, these two heroes on CDEC Youth, if you give them 5 minutes, they'll make the most of that 5 minutes. Whereas for a Gyrocopter, he's probably going to only get maybe half of the farm that Jug and Lone Druid would have gotten, maybe even a little bit more, I suppose. But yeah, I'm hoping IG can really make the most of this gyro really early and at least assume dominance pre-20 minutes so that they can control the game and make CDEC sort of play defensively on their side of the map.
The plus side that you could end up saying with this is that if Gyrocopter does go for somewhat more of a farming type of build in this, like he picks up a Helm of the Dominator, you can start stacking up those Ancients, and there aren't great heroes to take that for CDEC Youth right now. So that's one way that you could end up catching back up, and also the Invoker throwing the Alacrity on him, it's a nice way to buff him up, but I would agree, it's one of those things where if left to our own devices, the side of CDEC Youth here are just going to be able to get off to such a tremendous start. And interestingly enough, we see Alina taken as the last pick, and then last but not least, the Winter Wyvern for IG. So feeling like they might need to be careful about the push potential that is available. They're going to pick up that hero again, and it didn't end up working out for them too effectively in the last series of games that we saw, but maybe they've been able to learn from their mistakes and are going to be able to build themselves into at least being able to sustain against what I'm assuming it's going to be some amount of push. Like, Lone Druid is going to be able to, pick up the Hand of Midas and the Radiance fairly effectively. They need to be careful about the Phoenix Ray coming in and being able to burst him down as well. But I think that at this stage in the game, the sort of dynamic that we're going to be seeing in the mid game is CDEC Youth pushing with IG trying to keep them back as much as possible. And in that regard, Gyrocopter is good for that, for being able to defend the high ground.
Okay, so I think I may have to reconnect because I cannot have access to my map at all.
Uh-oh.
Thank you very much, Dota 2. I actually wanted to ask your opinion. CDEC Youth is going to put Inflame on the Batrider, which means it's going to be a Invoker versus Batrider matchup in the mid lane. What are your thoughts on that potential matchup?
Well, I think that in this type of matchup, it really comes down to positioning for the Invoker, and as it always does with the Batrider types of lineups. Ame down here in the bottom lane is squaring off with XXS and should be fine. But yeah, back to your question, I think that really for me the biggest thing about that is just making sure that your positioning is fine. If he ends up being able to have the cold snap, I don't think Inflame should be able to get on top of him. That being said, I also don't think that, like, Inflame is probably going to want to stack up these camps to the side here and build into his Blink Dagger eventually. If he's able to get a decently timed Blink Dagger, or if there's a rotation that comes in towards the mid lane from one of the other supports like the Witch Doctor or something, then you get into a situation where maybe you're going to be able to find a kill just by getting all those stacks up, and of course then it would be a quick kill on Ferrari. But I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that they're going to very heavily prioritize getting him off to a good start, and they've already taken out one of these wards here. Ferrari 430 doing it right off the bat.
And also, let's talk a little bit about the IG supports. They're running Fire and Ice. They're essentially running Jakiri if they were two different entities. Phoenix and Winter Wyvern. What can IG really achieve with these two heroes before they both hit level 6? They're actually very weak in the laning phase if you think about it. Like, Wyvern at least provides a reasonable slow with the Arctic Burn, but Phoenix doesn't really provide anything to his team up until he gets at least 2 points into the Sun Ray. Well, what is IG supposed to do with these sort of supports? Are they going to roam with the Wyvern and then just farm up the Phoenix? Or what do you think IG's thinking?
Well, I think that one of the things they got to figure out is how do you deal with the Lone Druid in the laning stage. And one of the problems that you run into is this type of thing happens where Spirit Bear pulls over a creep wave, you end up being able to get it into the position that you want, and actually Bobica is going to take a couple of shots here. He needs to be careful. I think that probably the biggest thing that they're going to be able to do is pull and get a good amount of levels. I don't know if Spirit Bear is really going to be able to find a kill on any of them because of that Cold Embrace that's going to be available, and the Winter Wyvern is nice for being able to get the slow and the DOT that's percentage-based damage. Because, Spirit Bear starts out with a lot more HP than any other heroes would, so this is going to be really effective harassment for the bear. The issue is actually killing it off and finding that, and maybe because of the extra damage you get from the rocket barrage and gyrocopter, it's going to be able to work, but it's going to need to be by the virtuous of misplays. And Inflame is super freaking far forward here. I don't think that Ferrari can actually stop this, though. He's taking a lot of damage and is going to have to commit the Ghost Walk and walk away from there. Oh my goodness, I'm getting a little bit of Kali. I might need to reconnect.
That's fine. Inflame dropping to about a quarter of his HP, but it seems that the really early Ghost Walk from Ferrari's going to keep himself alive at least. So no first blood as of yet, but we are going to be sensing some first blood very soon, I believe, as we do have what seems to be a Winter Wyvern rotation into the mid lane. So it does look like they're going to try and kill off Inflame if possible, with the help of Ferrari. Unfortunately, it's not an Exalt Invoker, so you can't really fall back to Sunstrikes, but if you can manage to land an EMP or at least maybe a mini Tornado, that could be enough to catch out Inflame. He's going to slowly start to bottle up. He's got one more charge to go, but he's still below half HP in terms of threshold, and I think the Wyvern's going to try and cut the Courier off. It's too far away. No Courier kill.
I'm loading back into it right now. I've got a Storm Spirit loading screen, so that's lovely. Dead hero, but good loading screen. Anyways, as far as the CS goes, you can see the Gyrocopter a little bit ahead of the Juggernaut, but not significantly so. And they're going to jump on Inflame. Actually, he might end up going down here. This rotation with the Arctic Burn might be able to be enough to find the kill, but he is going to be able to survive it. That was really close, though.
That was very, very close, and that was off the back of both Invoker and Winter Wyvern having crappy base physical damage. Like, Wyvern in general just doesn't hit naturally hard, and because Ferrari's gone for the Quas Flex, he's only hitting for 59 damage, and that's not including armor. So for Inflame, he's going to be very happy that he didn't drop there, and he may decide to turn it on to Ferrari, as Ferrari's looking pretty low in terms of mana himself.
Yeah, and he just tossed out a Tornado, actually. He does have Cold Snap available, so need to be a little bit careful. Does look like they're going to, again, just zone out this Beastmaster. Stuck at level 2. Compare this to the offlaner of XE here, and he's been able to get level 3 on his bear. It's just so hard to be able to zone out this bear at all. And the thing is you're able to bring him down somewhat low with the Winter Wyvern in terms of the damage you deal, but killing it off is a real problem because the damage is based upon the percentage of HP left in your pool, not the max HP. So it's still good, but it's not like completely and totally tremendous. They're going to need to wait until they get a couple of levels on this Phoenix Sunray before they can find a kill.
Wrong's actually holding on to one skill point, so he's sort of waiting to figure out if he wants to put some points into Fire Spirits or not. And looks like they grab First Blood onto the Beastmaster. I didn't get to catch that either. Don't worry, we're both in the same boat. First Blood going in the way of CDEC Youth. And for Beastmaster, XXS has had a pretty bad time in the bottom lane. I think at this point you may want to consider moving into the jungle because, yeah, he's getting a few levels, but the idea behind off lanes is, first of all, take a look at the lone druid who's going to run away. Seems like no one can really catch him out, but the way the off lane's typically played is you can die a few times if you're getting levels, but if you are getting hardly anything in lane and you keep dying, that's definitely not a position that you want to be in. So if he's not getting enough in lane, then we'll have to expect XXS to leave, unless he possibly dies again.
There's the Blade Break forward, Maledict and everything.
Really died of it though.
I think that he's okay.
Barely. He pops a salve too. So he's going to make sure he's going to come out safely. Arme's nowhere near death, but XXS though, almost dying there, having to TP in Ferrari of all heroes.
Yeah. No, that hurts, definitely. He is going to be bringing out something on the Courier right now. It's just going to be the Clarity, it looks like, to try and get his mana up a little bit more. It's going to show, and like as soon as you end up leaving the lane on the Batrider to go and try and farm up a little bit more, Demons comes in and is going to be able to soak up some of this experience. So he's level 4. You've got Inflame, who's already level 7, hasn't actually committed any points yet past the 2 in Napalm and 1 in Firefly, and they're thinking about jumping now onto Bobica. He's going to be able to catch him. There's going to be the committal of the ultimate, and this should be a quick and easy kill as the Light Strike Array is going to fall through, and Lina ends up actually being able to pick it up. Tornado EMP combo going through. His Invoker's going to have to run away. Rather, Ferrari's going to have to... Inflame is going to have to run away. Sunstrike is not available because it's Quas Wex, but they are going to be able to find that kill. Nicely played.
Ooh, that was also a level 1 Phoenix dive, so that was essentially 40 damage worth onto that Batrider. That was super, super close. If the Phoenix didn't dive, I don't think he would have died there.
Yeah. I would agree. Yeah, it was just so freaking close, and doing it right off the bat. Worth noting the 2 points now in the Maledict. This is something that we've been seeing over and over again from the Witch Doctors, and I feel like it's really cool. Like, more often than not, we've been seeing this Witch Doctor used for his heals, but he's really high damage dealing hero as well. And you sort of pair this together with something like Alina at level 6, you're going to be able to, like, Maledict up, and then she follows up with a Laguna Blade. Whoever they hit is just going to die. Like, it's a really cool combo.
It is. It's similar to the Shadow Demon Lina combo, which we used to see back in the days, where they would use the damage amplification from the Shadow Demon to really make the Lina hit hard home. But with this one, it's damage over time. So if there's no TP on that hero, if they do survive the initial burst, then they will definitely drop. Because if you take a look at what Maledict provides at level 2, it's 24% of the lost HP burst damage, and then you get the extra 10 damage on top of that too.
Yeah.
So, like this early on, that is quite a bit when you're losing more than 2/3 of your HP pool.
Absolutely. Well, XS up here in the top lane did end up going back for that Iron Talon, so has been jungling away for the moment and has gotten up to level 4. It's going to pull the creep wave past with those axes, which are going to continue to spin around in the air for a second, head back. But the Blade Fury cut down, Ame's going to be here to try and make sure that they take this tower. He's got the healing ward down, and there's going to be the cooldown committed. Hasn't been able to hit onto anybody, though, and it looks like Jug is just going to be able to walk away for the moment. TP's away. Is he going to end up going down? Just barely going to be able to get out of there. My goodness, that was close.
That was so close, but that's rather unfortunate. If XS had the Primal Roar there, if he had level 6, that would have been a guaranteed kill. But because he has done so poorly in lane, not to say it's his fault, it has been a lot of pressure from the Juggernaut and Witch Doctor, then I don't think that the Beastmaster would be doing so badly. So he's going to stay in lane for now. He wants to grab that level 6 as soon as possible. And once you see that level 6, expect XS to make a rotation to use that the ultimate. Unless Inflame just comes in with a haste and just lassos him and pulls him back, and, you know, handy dandy, it's fine. The XS is dead. There's nothing he can do.
Actually, don't even have to use the ulti. That's pretty nice. But they are going to rotate in 3 heroes now, and Bobica as well as QD and Ferrari, they're all going to be in the area. They are going to be able to snipe off this courier. They're thinking about it at least. It looks like they're going to wait until they end up coming back and then take it on the return path. So courier's going to go down. They get the counter initiation now. Inflame and Demons need to run away. The Blink Dagger was revealed, and it does look like they're going to catch onto Demons. He drops, but wasn't even able to get anything in return.
Inflame could go for a pullback. The Juggernaut is here for an Omni Slash, but it looks like everyone was too far for the Batrider to even attempt to pull. So they're going to let them go, but when all that's said and done, though, it is a 1-to-1 trade Batrider for Alina, although the courier can be involved in that too. But still, IG, they're going to do something about XS. He is not even level 6 yet. We're closing in towards the 10-minute mark, and he's the offlane Beastmaster. Hopefully he moves into the jungle. He really should not be sitting in this lane. Like, we've seen multiple times now that he's died up top. The Inflame has tried to go in for a bit of a jump. He's already used the lasso, and he's got nothing left in the tank. He's going to go down, and Wrong's actually sitting in the Firefly. Wrong, get out of there. Getting out of 7 HP. They get the bear as well as the bat, though, so a big win in the top lane for IG.
And it's so much damage coming out from that Sunray. Like, it's incredibly impressive how much you're able to do. What was it that actually ended up going down? It only ends up being 340, but that's still pretty crazy from, you know, the Phoenix support here throughout the course of this game, just doing a great job of it. And Lina ends up being able to get a kill on the Winter Wyvern. No Laguna Blade necessary, although she is going to be able to get her level 6 here fairly shortly. And I don't know, you take a look at the difference in terms of team net worth. CDEC Youth building themselves a little bit of lead. I'm curious how IG are going to try and come back into this one, because all of these gank rotations just haven't ended up working out for them really effectively outside of the 1 kill, but they only got the Lina in that last one.
Their draft is very early game oriented now. Ferrari, who opted for the Quas Wex build during the laning phase, means that his damage is not going to scale as well as it would have if he did go for the Exort build instead. So this actually puts more pressure onto IG to perform during the early portions of the game, moving into the mid portion, just to shut down as many of the CDEC heroes as possible. XS finally has his level 6, but he doesn't have the mana to cast Primal Roar, so unfortunately he's not going to be able to provide much in this upcoming engagement. But there's no one down here for CDEC Youth. It's just the Beastmaster. CDEC are they sort of figured out what's happened now. They don't see any IG heroes, and instead they're just going to sort of go for their own smoke rotation and hope that someone in the mid lane appears for Inflame to go for a lasso. And I think Bobica might be going mid. I don't think it's a good idea. Instead, just a warding mission. He's
Yeah.
fine.
I think that they both sides realize what's going on. They're checking just to make sure that nobody's farming in the jungle, and as long as they're trading the towers one for one and there isn't anybody farming in the jungle, CDEC youth feel fine with this trade, I believe. And they're going to be able to take out the enemy jungle. Meanwhile, you also see that IG are going to try and do the same type of thing. One thing that I would say is that if they end up rotating in towards the mid lane, I kind of favor CDECU's initiation angle. Unless Ame gets caught out here, he needs to be super careful. He's going to get jumped on in just a second. They do have Roar available, and looks like he is going to back out, realizing the danger.
He's got phase boots and drums. He's actually very, very quick. And unfortunately for IG, their chase is not impressive in the least. But it looks like they want to try and assume some map control in the mid lane. Taking down the T1 will be a step in the right direction. But everyone on CDEC is here. Inflame did go in for a bit of a TP Firefly, so that's going to get rid of the creep wave at least. And IG, do they still commit for this mid lane? Because you take a look up top, you've got XZ on that lone druid starting to smack on the T2 tower. He's actually going to TP back.
Yeah, it's good. Like he saw that they all backed up from the mid tower. He realized, all right, you know what? They're going to be coming over for me. And now you see